I said earlier that people have intuitions that are not necessarily true, and that people are confident in judgments that are not necessarily true. And I would like to sort of present a tentative theory about how that happens. And the general idea is very straightforward. When we're asked a question that we cannot answer, typically, System 1 is going to come up with the answer to a related question that is easier. And it's going to use that answer to the wrong question, to the question that hasn't been asked, in place of the question that was asked. We call that a mechanism of substitution. It's substituting an easier question for a hard one. It happens automatically. People are not aware that it happens. And it is the source of many intuitions that don't come from expertise, and they're much less likely to be correct than the intuition that do come from expertise, but they come with equal confidence, or just about. So there are several mechanisms that take part in this substitution thing, and I'd like to introduce them. One of them, which I call the mental shotgun, is that when you are trying to instruct it to perform an operation, you typically perform other operations as well that are related to it associatively, are related to the target operation, but they're different. And my favorite example is, I'll say words, and you are to judge as quickly as possible whether the words rhyme or not. And the first pair of words is vote note. It's easy. The second pair of questions is vote goat. And vote goat is substantially harder than vote no. Why? Because although nobody asked you to, you spelled. And vote goat, there's a mismatch in spelling, and although they rhyme, at least as I pronounce them, just as well as vote note, you have a conflict, and the conflict slows you down. So typically, we compute more than we intend to compute. And that allows for substitutions to take place. So let me give you an example of a substitution here. The question here would be, which of the three figures is larger on the screen? And the answer is, they're equal. All three figures on the screen are of equal size. But it's a very powerful illusion. We see the figure on the right as larger than the figure on the left. And we see it because you cannot help it. Although you were told to think of it as a two-dimensional object, you compute the three-dimensional solution in which the object on the right is in fact larger than the object on the left, and that is what you see. There are many other examples of this general process. Another one I like is, I call that the dating heuristic. Students are asked in a survey, they're asked two questions. One is, how happy are you? And the other is, how many dates did you have last month? And if you ask the questions in that order, the correlation is essentially zero. Turns out that there are many things in life that determine happiness, and dating is not particularly important. You invert the order, so you ask people, how many dates did you have last month, and how happy are you with your life as a whole? Correlation is 0.66. And what has happened, and this is both a heuristic and an example of what I call the focusing illusion, that you have an emotional reaction to, the student has an emotional reaction to the question about number of dates. That emotional reaction is sitting there, then you're asked a related question about happiness, and without knowing that you're doing this, you substitute one for the other. And you can do it with many different questions. Now, it's not that people are confused about what happiness is. They know that happiness is not the same as, satisfaction with the number of dates. It's just that this is the answer that comes to mind to the happiness question. There has been substitution, and you're not aware of it.